Hey, welcome back. I'd like to speak just a little bit about right hand technique and how to practice right hand technique using deep practice. Talked about deep practice before in left hand technique, playing chords, but today we're going to talk just briefly on right hand technique. I think I developed my need to play the right hand mostly as opposed to the a pick more often is because it just became, the pick just became one more thing between me and the pencil. In writing songs, I would, play with the pick, set down the pick, pick up the pencil, write the lyric, set down the pencil, pick up the pick, set down the pick. I think it just became one less thing I had to do. So instead of using a pick, I just developed a right hand technique. It doesn't mean you don't use the pick. That's certainly irreplaceable for certain sort of writing and playing, certainly. But the right hand affords you some things that the pick won't even do. It's a very piano-like approach. Unlike the pick, it's easier to avoid certain strings. So when you're playing some of these, cool extensions, you can't really. I guess you could get that with the pick and the fingers. I'm not much on that, but it's a real nice style, and I would encourage all you guys to develop it to some level if you can. Um, like I said, it's nice to not have to play all the notes, which is very hard to do when you're playing with just the pick. There's certain muting things, obviously, that you can do. But so you don't have to grow fingernails or maintain fingernails to play this style, although I encourage it if you can, only because I don't know if anybody has fingernails strong enough to withstand that much playing all the time, writing and playing and performing. My fingernails are fairly strong, but even at that, they tend to break sometimes. And boy, there's nothing worse than having a broken fingernail, especially if you're performing, because it's like I always thought about it like an athlete. You can kind of get through the game with a torn something, but it's painful and it doesn't. You have to readjust your technique and your playing ability, and it's a real pain. So someone recommended, hey, why don't you try acrylics? And so I actually get these are the length of my real fingernails. Those are my real fingernails underneath the acrylic that's put on there. I don't do it. Tina actually does it up there at the nail salon. But yeah, and there's like 3 coats of acrylic that really make the fingernails very, 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 very strong. And knock on wood, but I've never broken one in all the years I've been doing this. Of course, just these 4 fingers, right? You don't use this finger at all when you play. But I would recommend that. Keep them at a pretty good length. That's very subjective. I just like the sound. I just like the control of being able to play as forceful or as light as I want, and knowing that they're going to be there and not brittle or chipped or broken. So that's my recommendation for that. But okay, in talking about right hand fingering, the thumb is the thumb, and then the index finger is the first finger. So it's going to be thumb 1, 2, 3. You don't use the pinky. So thumb 1, 2, and the ring finger 3. Thumb 1, 2, 3. And the correct hand, so keep that in mind, but the correct hand position that I was sort of taught and modified and seen and talked to other players who do it, it's a very much recommended that you keep your thumb away from the rest of your fingers. That's really sort of the trick there. That's the inside thing. You don't want your thumb back here confused with your other fingers. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to put this crook in your wrist. So set your hand down on the guitar like this. Your thumb should be. I like the tone of my thumb almost in the middle of the sound hole, but a little to the rear. And you'll pick up different tones when you play, and you can choose what the best hand position for you is. But so you got your thumb out like this. It's kind of like the hitchhiking thing, It's like, hey, there's this and there's hitchhiking. And I also think of it as holding a pencil or a pen, like you can break it, break it. So think about holding a pen or a pencil like that. But you want a crook in your wrist, this bend in your wrist. And it'll take some time to do that. Your hand will get tired from playing and trying to keep it here, and then eventually what will happen is it'll weaken. You'll get tired, and now you're back here. And now when you're playing, say you start out the right way, your wrist will get tired. It'll straighten up, and then your thumb will slide behind your fingers where it's not supposed to be. It actually needs a different brain. It's sort of the left hand of the piano, really. So thumb out like this, over-exaggerate it to prove the point is a good idea. Just kind of over-exaggerate it, just like this. Put your fingers back up. Your thumb is, all here, out here on its own. Nothing else is different up here. Just relax if you can. It's hard to at the beginning. Okay. Put your thumb. Now place your thumb on the 4th string, and your first finger on the 3rd string, right behind it. And your second finger on the 2nd string, and your 3rd finger on the 1st string. Right. So each one of these fingers, starting with your thumb, are playing in total the top 4 strings. So thumb 1, 2, 3, right on the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string. So the best thing to do is to just don't even use the left hand. Just practice. You can hold it like this or just get comfortable. Practice thumb 1, 2, 3, and let it ring very slow. Remember, deep practice. It should be a little not painful, but just want to take your time and get a good tone. Thumb 1, 2, 3. Now what'll happen, like I said, your wrist will relax, and your thumb will end up behind you. So stop, place your, over-exaggerated, hitchhiking, over-exaggerated, put your thumb out like this, bend in the wrist, thumb 1, 2, 3. Now what you do not want to do is stop the strings from ringing. So you don't want this. You just strike them, stay away from them, let them ring. Hear that? And you'll also start bouncing away from the guitar. Try to correct that as soon as possible. So there's a lot of things going on here, right? At the same time, you want to keep your wrist sort of anchored. Now you don't want your pinky anchoring it. If you already have that habit of doing that, it's a hard one to break. I would not recommend it starting out. It just limits a lot of things. So just let it hang there behind the other 5 fingers. Or how many are there? 1, 2, the other 4 fingers. Thumb 1, 2, 3. Very slow, much slower than that. Thinking about all these things, watching your wrist, keeping the thumb away from behind the other fingers. Not stopping the string, let all of them ring. Okay, now there are books that you can buy that say all the different, combinations of fingerings like this to practice. Thumb 1, 2, 3, thumb 3, 2, 1, thumb 2, 1, 3, thumb 3, 1, 2. But you can just write those out and just, make a logical list of the different combinations. For instance, thumb 2, 1, 3, thumb 2, 1, 3. Again, it's the fingering numbers, not the strings, okay? Thumb. Again, I'm just playing the top 4 strings with my thumb on the 4th string and the other fingers above it. So thumb 2, 1, 3 would be thumb 2, 1, 3. Thumb 2. How about thumb 3, 2, 1? Thumb. You want to practice even slower than that if you've not done this before. Thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. See, now you can make a long list. Thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, is your wrist straightening up? Is your thumb behind your fingers? If so, bring them back to bear like this. Thumb out. Try to relax. Don't bounce. Don't rest your finger on the string that's being played. Let them ring. Do it very slow. If you did this 15 minutes a day, if you practiced deeply like this 15 minutes a day, in 3 months you'll be rocking. It'll start to feel very, very natural. And then, of course, you get your 10,000 hours behind you, and you're not even noticing what you're doing. Everything is very smooth, very economical. All the extra movements are gone. But it's very important that you practice like this to begin with, okay? All the different points that I mentioned. Now, at some point, you can play a chord, okay? You can start putting both hands together. Now, I would recommend playing the simple chords. Let's say D, G, and A7 for this exercise. Now, here's the secret. The thumb will play the bass note of each string, whether it's an open string or a fingered string. Okay? The thumb will play the bass note, the lowest member of the chord, and the other 3 fingers will just find whatever other notes are in there. They might be right next to each other, just like we just did our exercise, or it might be any other note in the chord. So let's start with a D, and I am playing the top 4 strings just like the exercise we just did, and I'm going to go thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Slow. Go to a G. Thumb will play what? The bass note of the G is the 6th string. And I'm playing any other strings in that chord. A7 is the 5th string is the root, bass note. Thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Back to the 4th string rooted D. So you can actually put both fingers together, both hands together. Thumb plays the bass note of each new chord. And whatever happens behind it is up to you. The different fingerings, thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, whatever. And eventually, after really doing this a lot and with confidence, you'll be able to, like a pianist, you'll be able to hear sort of the notes in the chord and be able to choose those almost intuitively with your right hand. And then there's lots of other technical things, a little finger style things that we'll talk about as we go along. This is sort of an ongoing series of 2 or 3 lessons maybe. So this is the basic beginning right hand technique, sort of a primer for this. But the most important things are, again, quickly, you want your thumb out from the rest of your fingers. Don't start with any chord, just concentrate on the right hand. Thumb plays the 4th string, the other fingers take up strings above it. And just, write out the different combinations of patterns of fingers here. Thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Thumb 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. Thumb 1, 3, 2, 1, 2. Thumb, whatever it is. And practice, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of those patterns once you build up to it. But do it very slow. Get a good tone. Don't rest your finger on the string after it's been played. Let it ring. Don't bounce, which is what you'll do. Stop. Start again. Keep your thumb out away from the rest of the guitar. Rest of the fingers, I mean. And then eventually play some chords if you'd like. And the thumb will play the bass note of each new chord. And then the other 4 fingers will play any other strings, notes in that chord that you want to. And there's other technical things that we'll talk about with the right hand as we go along. But that's a good beginning thing. But 15 minutes a day in 3 months, 15 minutes every day, man. And keep your guitar on a stand if you can. So you can do this with it while you're watching television, as long as you got the right technique going, or reading or something. You don't need to take the guitar out of the case every time. Have it, if it's sitting over there, pick it up and just hold it. I mean, just put your hand, even if you're just having to, train your hand to do this, while you're talking on the phone or something. It's another good reason to have the guitar with you. Okay, that's a good beginning, and good luck.